Hey, Rick, I had a quick question for you because some people in the field have been asking about the energy, as it is right now, because we're obviously with our vertical and our partnership that we've got with Avion Energy, that it's doing really, really well. But they were curious based on like current rates and stuff like that with, the gas, because that's all we hear on the media and stuff like that. What were you, and I know we got Jim on here. I'm glad you brought him on here because I want to hear this answer myself. What were you, when I told you that, and you've had a couple of people ask that, I want you to ask that question to Jim because I want to hear the answer to it.
Sure. And I guess Jim, the what Mike's referring to is we've had a lot of reps asking us. They see all the media and the news about prices skyrocketing. I was telling Mike that it almost took me a couple $100 to fill on my cars yesterday. So it's like
Yes.
it's top of mind, right? And I know just in the conversations I'm hearing about contracts that are getting put in place, it's not like that really in the energy brokerage space. So I was hoping that you could kind of enlighten us and talk about how do things work if somebody's going into a contract right now. There's obviously a
Sure.
protection angle to it, but then longer contracts might be better. And anyway, if you could just kind of clarify that,
Yeah,
just so we
sure.
can take that back to the field.
Well, when you're relating it to buying gasoline, filling up your car, those prices are, today's prices. It's not, you're not paying some future price now. It's what the market price is today. And so it's impacted by a lot of news or, disruptions in supply chain. Any number of things make price of gasoline go up. We got inflation going on right now that we haven't experienced for a number of years. So you see that there. Electricity, natural gas, while it's true, short-term prices are significantly higher. In some markets, I was just reading a report, 80% higher than it was a year ago at this time. There's lots of different reasons for that. We had a colder than normal winter, so natural gas prices are high right now. Demand is staying up there because a lot of the natural gas being produced is being put back into storage. This time of the year, that's what happens after we drain storage down in the winter months. In the spring, they start putting it back into storage, and we're behind the 5-year average. We're behind where we were a year ago in terms of the volume of natural gas being put back into storage. So it keeps the demand numbers high, which keeps the price high. Now, the expectation is that things will settle in a period of time and it'll get back to normal. So when a customer has the opportunity, say, to lock in a price of electricity over a 2 or 3 or even up to a 5-year period, the expectation over those 2-3 years is that prices are going to be lower. So it blends all those prices for contracts that are bought on the commodities markets. They buy a contract for each individual month. So if you had a 36-month contract rather, there'd actually be 36 separate contracts in the commodities markets to put all that together. So the closest contracts, next month, those prices for natural gas are real high, for electricity, same thing. Where if you get out to 24 months, 36 months, those prices are low. The market expects prices to return to a lower level. So the consumer, when they lock in a price, they do several things. Number one, they take advantage of the long-term look in the market. And by blending all that together, they end up with a lower price today. Where if they were on a variable rate, they'd be paying the real high price now for this month. And then next month, they would be paying another high price now. And it would take months and months and months for it to get to a place where the price is now lower or normalized. So we have the ability to do that. And in essence, what's happening is that the customer, I don't know how many customers know so much about electricity and natural gas that they want to take on all the risk. There's buying opportunities out there. You can do that, and it's having a variable rate where you're paying month to month based on what the market's doing that month. That's extremely risky for a business because nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows if some event around the world is going to impact natural gas, like maybe some country invading another country, or some pipeline, having a disruption because something exploded or it was shut down or was hacked or, any of these things we've experienced over the last couple of years. So pass all that risk to the energy supplier. They're going to take their money and they're going to go out and they're going to buy enough monthly contracts to fulfill the term of your agreement, which could be any number of months out. Typically, it goes out to about 36, but in some cases, we can go as far as 60 months out. And they're using their money, allowing you to pay for it over time. So it's the one place in the market where you can be, lock in that good deal and totally pass on the risk to somebody else. Does that kind of help? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I think I just heard something in there too, where you said that if somebody puts, let's just say somebody put a 3-year contract in place, that energy supplier goes and commits to buy the 3 years worth of energy at a better price, and your risk is taken away, and you're paying a lower price right now than you would if you on a variable. Is that what I heard you say?
That's absolutely correct. All those statements are
Okay.
correct.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of a
So
peace,
essentially,
give 'em
if
peace
I
of
could just
mind.
ask one more question before I
Go
lose
ahead.
my thought here. Sorry, Mike. So the and basically everybody right now should just be bidding as usual. Where they put it in, and then when they put their information in, Avion's going to come back and basically share what you just shared. Is that right?
That's correct. We'll give them
Depending
all
on
the prices.
circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
what about a situation where somebody has a contract that doesn't expire for a while? Would your advice still be just submit the paperwork and then just Avion will pick a buying opportunity? Does that also work?
Yeah, the great thing about doing something like that is that if submit paperwork, we get the consumer into our system because with market changes all the time, we're dealing in this every day. So we've got a pulse on the market. Most business owners don't have a pulse on the market because they're operating their business. That's what they do good. And they should be focused there. But we've had instances in the past where some of our clients, all of a sudden, prices hit a 30-year low. I'm reminded about the Chick-fil-A client we have. We called them. They still had 18 months left in the contract, but we called them and said, hey, look, you've got a buying opportunity right now. The lowest prices in 30 years, it's just not going to get better. And if you could lock in a period of time at today's lowest price, it's just a smart thing to do. But you're currently under contract for 18 more months. So we need to start this contract when that one expires 18 months out. So being an operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant, a couple of restaurants, then, he was never, ever going to discover that. It would have just passed him by. The opportunity would have passed him by. But because of what we do, we know what's happening. So always get the paperwork in so you're in our system. For some reason, it's not a good buying opportunity. We'll tell you that. We'll tell you, the reasons why. If it's not good right now, you've got a better position, you don't want to change anything, or it's better. Here are the reasons why to switch now, and we can keep pulse on it. And whenever the right opportunities come along, we'll make sure to let you know. That's just one of the things that we do.
That's awesome. I think it's been nice to talk to people in the field that always have a good experience with the way BidPoint is taught their people to introduce businesses by just, making sure that they understand that they're going to get a non-biased quote because we have you guys going through and doing the bidding with many providers, which takes the headache and the work from them.
Yeah.
And it's free to get the analysis. It's free to get this thing to find out. And in the majority of these companies that we're introducing to are obviously being overcharged in almost every case. And then for you guys to be able to go back to getting the customer the best deal and then continually with that relationship, because that's what I think is awesome too. And why why the retention is in the high 90 percentile over all these years this has been going on and we've been doing this, that it's due to the fact that, when these businesses get this deal and then you guys are coming back to them later and saying, hey, by the way, just like the story you just said. And I think that's really nice. You guys have made it easy for our reps to go out there and really introduce people to this correctly. So great job on that. Rick, you got something else you were going to say?
Yeah, I just think that nothing really changes in the process because Avion's going to is going to ultimately make give the advice to the potential client as to when to pull the trigger. So,
Mhm.
everything's pretty normal really, as compared to, like, once again, as compared to driving around and finding the best price for gas. I mean, we don't have to, doesn't have to be executed right now, but if the time is now, and
Yeah.
then they'll tell you when to pull the trigger. So it's a no-brainer, really.
Right. Well, you
See if
want,
you're being overcharged.
yeah, exactly. Well, why don't we can probably get done with this, because we can probably make sure we get this content, this information to our guys that we can answer this questions for. You got anything else you want to say, Jim?
I don't know if you want me to tag this on now or do a separate short video recording. It has to do with utility companies and their variable rate, that sometimes that rate appears lower than what they could get from third-party suppliers. But it's never an apple to apples comparison. It's a comparison of a market rate versus a regulated rate. The utility companies are not allowed to make any kind of a profit on the actual commodity, on the kilowatt hours that they buy from the generation plant or from the natural gas. So they make their money on the delivery of those commodities across their infrastructure, the power lines or pipelines, the meter that's connected to your building. That's where they make their money. So they really don't care what the price is, and so it happens that they have to go to the Public Service Commission, and it just depends on which market you're in. It's either on a 90-day basis or maybe every 6 months, and they have to request a price increase if they didn't make enough money. So basically the utility, in conjunction with the Public Service Commission or Public Utility Commission, they're trying to guess what the rates are going to be over that next period of time, and they'll set the rate. But if they were wrong and they had a rate that was too high, well, then the consumer is due a refund. Well, they never really send a refund check out. What they do is they arbitrarily lower the rate the next period to compensate for the overcharge. So the rate could look a little bit low artificially for a period of time, but then they might miss it by charging not enough, and the cost of electricity was higher. So now they go and they raise the rate the next time to compensate for that. So it's always catching up. So it's not it's certainly not passing on the risk to the consumer, or I should say it this way: the consumer has all the risk whenever they're buying directly from the utility, and they're subject to spikes in pricing, and they always pay for it, 90, 120 days, 6 months later. So on rare occasions, we actually have recommended that a consumer go with the utility for a short period of time. But typically, it's better to not be with the utility company. You can get a better rate from a third-party supplier, pass on all the risk as we were just describing. So, we'll certainly be able to evaluate that. But we've seen too many customers who get a bill, their utility bill, and it has a price to compare. That's always on there. And that's what the current price of the utility company's electricity or natural gas is. And sometimes if they want to switch to that because it looks like it's lower, they don't understand the implications of that. It might be lower for 1 month, but the higher rates are coming because they have to catch up and make up the difference. And then they are even higher because they're making up the difference from being wrong from the previous period. I don't know. Did that just make sense the way I explained it?
Pretty much. A little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, I understand the concept of it, but I do think it's a different topic, though.
Okay. And if you want to just not even, don't
It's all
put
right.
that
It's all
in,
good.
we could
We'll just
do
leave it
that
in.
some other time and ask different questions.
Well, I think we should do that some other time, because that by itself is a big deal. And like you say, I mean, the fact that any given snapshot month. Well, the utility's cheaper, and you just explain why. Well, they
Yeah.
overcharged you last month, and now they're undercharging you to make up for it.
Yeah.
And
So you
you
pay
know,
more
that
for
fits
it.
right into the whole
Yeah.
overcharge thing.
But most sales
I got
guys
a guy
don't
named Joe
understand any
Mitiga
of
call
that.
me. You guys know Joe Mitiga? So
I do.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
And most-
Well, anything else? We cover everything we needed to cover.
no, I think we're good.